Hello dear students, how are you all? In our last video, we started with chapter number 2, Microorganisms, in which we discussed about the different types of microorganisms. Now, we will move ahead in the chapter. We will discuss here about the useful and the harmful microorganisms. Microorganisms are very useful to us. They are an important part of our life as well as they are harmful to us on the other side. So we can say they are our friends as well as our foe. So first we will discuss about useful microorganisms. Microorganisms are used for making curd from milk, for making cheese, pickles, bread, cakes, pastries, alcohol, wine, vinegar, etc. So first of all, we'll start from our kitchen itself. In our kitchen itself, we have different use of microorganisms. You might have seen your mother making curd from the milk. What she does is, in the lukewarm milk, she add a teaspoonful of curd. What happens here is the microorganism present in the curd is lactobacillus. This lactobacillus microorganism multiply rapidly when we put it in milk and it transforms the whole milk into curd. Similarly, it can be used to make cheese also. Next is all the spongy things we eat like bread, biscuits, cakes, pastries, idlis, dhoklas. In all these things, microorganism, that is a fungus called yeast, is used. The fungus yeast reproduces in the flour dough and produce carbon dioxide during respiration, which makes this dough soft and fluffy and helps in making the bread, cakes, biscuits, pastries, etc. Next, we have our commercial use of microorganisms. Microorganisms are used on large scale for the production of alcohol, wine, and acetic acid. Here also a fungus yeast is used for this production. For this purpose, yeast is grown on natural sugars present in the grains like barley, wheat, rice, and fruit juices, etc. And the process of conversion of sugar into alcohol is known as fermentation, and the scientist who discovered fermentation is Louis Pasteur in the year 1857. Now, what is fermentation actually? What happens is when yeast is grown in our wheat flour or fruit juices, what happens? The glucose present in this flour, the yeast reacts with this glucose, it breaks down the glucose and converts it into ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide in the absence of oxygen. So that is anaerobic respiration, which you have studied in class 7. So yeast does the anaerobic respiration in which it breaks down the glucose present in the wheat flour, etc., and converts it into ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. This process is called fermentation, and the carbon dioxide produced during this fermentation process is responsible for the fluffiness of the food. Due to this carbon dioxide, due to this, the batter rises up, turns into soft, fluffy, and spongy. So, here also fermentation is used in making dhoklas, idlis, fruit juices, vinegar, etc. Next is the medicinal use of microorganisms. So whenever you fall ill and go to the doctor, your doctor might have prescribed you antibiotics tablet. What are these antibiotics? The word antibiotic itself suggests anti means against and bio is derived from the word biology, which means living things. So anti life, against the life. Antibiotics are medicines which are derived from microorganisms. So antibiotics are nothing but microorganisms which kill other microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. However, antibiotics are not effective against killing viruses. Okay, so antibiotics are derived from microorganisms, and the scientist who discovered it is Alexander Fleming, who obtained antibiotic penicillin from the mold of Penicillium notatum. Penicillium notatum is a fungus, so it is a name of a microorganism, Penicillium notatum, from which this antibiotic called penicillin was obtained, and the scientist who discovered it is Alexander Fleming. Some other examples of antibiotics are streptomycin, tetracycline, erythromycin, etc. So these medicines kill or stop the growth of disease-causing microorganisms in our body. Now, we have to take some precautions while administering this antibiotics. This precaution is, whenever we go to a doctor, our doctor prescribes us antibiotic and give us a perfect amount of dose, a 3 days dose, 5 days or a 7 days dose, depending upon our illness. So we need to take this exact amount of dose prescribed by the doctor. We should not take a dose less than that, and we should not take a dose more than that. What happens sometimes is, a doctor has given us a 5 days antibiotic, but while taking 1 or 2 days we feel alright and we stop taking this antibiotic. In this case, when we take less amount of dose prescribed by the doctor, what happens here is, all the microorganisms present in our body which are responsible for our illness are not killed. Okay, some of the microorganisms are still alive in our body when we take insufficient amount of dose, and when they are still present in our body, they will again rapidly multiply and they will again cause us a disease. Okay, so you might have heard that malaria is repeated or dengue is repeated. So why is it so? This is because we have taken insufficient amount of dose, and the microorganisms, all the deadly microorganisms are not killed by taking insufficient dose. So they will again multiply, and while they will again multiply, this new microbes that will arise will develop a resistance towards this antibiotic. So when you will again take that medicine which was prescribed by your doctor, it will not be effective and it will not kill those microorganisms, as they have already developed a resistance towards it. Now what you have to do, children, is you have to go again to a doctor, and your doctor will again give you a prescribed antibiotic which will be of higher dose and which will be more harmful for your body. Okay, so this happens when you take less amount of antibiotic as suggested by your doctor. Now, when you will take more antibiotics than suggested by doctor, what happens is, in our body also useful microorganisms are also there which helps us in our various metabolic processes like digestion, respiration, etc. So, when you will take more amount of antibiotics kill microorganisms. So, along with killing deadly and harmful microorganisms, they will kill the useful microorganisms present in our body also. So, more amount of antibiotics is also harmful for our body, as they kill useful microorganisms as well. So, whenever we take antibiotic, we should take the dose that is exact prescribed by our doctor. Not more than that and not less than that. Okay. Next is vaccine. What is a vaccine? Whenever a disease-carrying microbe enters our body remembers that for lifetime. Okay. This is due to the antibodies produced in response of the microorganisms entering our body. Okay, so what happens if we introduce a dead or weakened microbe responsible for producing a particular disease in a healthy body? What will happen, children, is the microorganism is dead, so it will not cause us that disease, but our body will recognize it as a foreign system and it will produce antibodies against that, and these antibodies will fight with that microbe and will kill that microbe. These antibodies will remain in our body for lifetime. So in future, whenever our body will encounter that particular microorganism, antibodies are already present in our body, so it will kill that microorganism, and in future we will not have that particular disease. So this is how a vaccine works. So a vaccine is nothing but a dead or weakened microbe causing that particular disease. We can understand this by an example of a vaccine, say polio vaccine. You all have taken polio vaccine in your childhood. So polio vaccine is nothing but dead or weakened microbes causing that polio disease. So when you take this vaccine, dead and weakened microorganisms causing this polio are introduced in your body. Now they are already dead, so you will not have polio, but your body will recognize it as a foreign system, so your body will produce antibodies against this dead microorganisms. This antibodies for polio will remain in your body for lifetime. So in future, whenever a polio microbe enters in your body is already having antibodies against it. These antibodies will fight this polio microorganism and will kill it, and in this way you will be protected from having polio for your lifetime. So this is how a vaccination works. The process of introducing a vaccine in an organism's body for protection against disease is called vaccination, and there are several vaccines available against various diseases like hepatitis, TB, polio, chickenpox, etc. Right now, scientists are working for introducing vaccine for COVID-19 virus also. So we all pray that this COVID-19 vaccine is. Microorganisms are also useful in the field of agriculture as they increase the soil fertility. We all know about rhizobium bacteria, which lives in the root nodules of leguminous plant. This rhizobium bacteria act as a nitrogen fixer, which provide nitrogen to the soil, to the plants, and increases the fertility of soil. So bacteria and other microorganisms present in the soil increase the fertility of soil. They are also called as biological nitrogen fixers. Also, some microorganisms help in the formation of humus from dead decaying matter, and humus is used as manure for plants. You all have studied this in class 7. So microorganisms are also useful in the field of agriculture as they increase the fertility of soil. There are some other uses of microorganisms as well, like they are helpful in cleaning the environment. The leaves falling off from a tree, the dead bodies of various animals, what happens to them? When they are just lying on the ground, or when we bury any animal inside the ground, what happens? The microorganisms present in the soil, they react with this dead bodies and they decompose this dead body and they return the nutrients from this dead body back to the soil, which is again used up by the plants for their growth. So we can say that microorganisms also clean the environment by converting the dead bodies of plants and animals and decomposing it and again returning the nutrients back to the soil. Some bacteria like Pseudomonas decompose the sewage, that is waste water, and help in cleaning the water as well. Algae, being autotrophic, releases oxygen in water during the process of photosynthesis. Some bacteria are also used in leather industry for tanning. Some used for rotting of jute fibers, curing of tea leaves. Okay, and some bacteria protozoa reside in the digestive system of ruminating animals like cows, sheep, and help in their digestion process. Anaerobic breakdown, that is in the absence of oxygen, of animal waste, leafy waste, etc. by the bacteria produces methane gas, which is used as a fuel. So there are several uses of bacteria or microorganisms. We can say that microorganisms are an important part of our life without which we cannot live. Now, while being useful, at the same time, microorganisms are harmful to us in many ways, and the microbes which cause diseases in humans, plants, and animals are called pathogens or germs. When we talk about diseases in humans, diseases are of two types: communicable and non-communicable diseases. As the name suggests, communicable diseases spreads from the infected person to a healthy person, and non-communicable diseases do not spread from an infected person to a healthy person. So, communicable diseases will be caused by various pathogens or germs, whereas non-communicable diseases are due to malfunctioning of an organ or genetic disorder or hormonal imbalances. Example is anemia, which is due to insufficient or deficiency of hemoglobin in our body, diabetes, heart problem, kidney stones, blood pressure. All these diseases are due to hormonal imbalances or genetic disorders or malfunctioning of an organ. So it will not spread from one person to another. Whereas communicable diseases are caused due to pathogens like polio, jaundice, chickenpox, common cold, TB, etc. So it will spread from one person to another. And how it spread? There are different modes of transmission of this communicable diseases. It can spread through air. When an infected person cough or sneezes, what happens? The droplet goes into the air along with the microorganisms responsible for it. So when a healthy person inhales that droplets, the microorganisms enters in the respiratory tract of the healthy person also and cause diseases in the healthy person also. It also spreads through food and water. When food and water contaminated by pathogens are consumed by the healthy person become infected. Examples are cholera, typhoid, jaundice, spread like that. By direct contact, when a healthy person shares the items like towel, handkerchiefs with a patient, he is also likely to become infected. Various skin diseases like ringworm, etc., common cold, spread in this way. Now, other mode of transmission is through insects. Insects spread diseases either through their bite or by transferring pathogens to food articles. The common examples of it are housefly and mosquito. What happens is housefly has sticky feet. So housefly, when it sits on dirt like garbage, human excreta, etc., the dirt stick on the feet of housefly, and when this housefly sits on our food, it transfers this dirt and the pathogens in that to our food as well, and when this food is consumed by us we fall sick. That's why we say that we should always keep our food covered. We should not eat uncovered food because housefly spread this pathogens to our uncovered food, and if we eat that we will fall sick. Mosquito is another carrier. You might have heard that mosquito causes malaria, but always remember children, is mosquito is just a carrier of malaria. It is not responsible for causing malaria. Malaria is a protozoan disease. It is caused due to a protozoa, and this protozoa resides in the female Anopheles mosquito. So when a female Anopheles mosquito bites a patient suffering from malaria, the malarial parasite enters its body, and when this mosquito bites a healthy person, it transfers the disease causing parasite, that is a protozoa, into a healthy person, causing malaria to a healthy person as well. So malaria is a protozoan disease. Mosquito is just a carrier of that disease, and such carrier of diseases are called as vector. So we can say that female Anopheles mosquito is a vector for malaria. Always remember that, children. Similarly, female Aedes mosquito acts as a carrier of dengue virus. Some pathogens like tetanus enter the human body like cuts and wounds too. In your book, a table is given. The table, learn it, which disease is a bacterial disease, what are its. Now microorganisms not only cause diseases in humans, they cause diseases in plants and animals as well. Example, anthrax is a dangerous human and cattle disease caused by bacterium. Foot and mouth disease of cattle is caused by a virus. So in your book, a table is given this, and learn that table as well. All have understood till here, children? The rest of the portion we will discuss in our next video. Okay, bye bye.